actually, there's a brother. Apparently, he lived right next door to the storefront that Eric Garner was standing in front of. And he filmed the officer choking his brother. Wasn't a damn thing he could do. And 11 times this man said, "I can't breathe." You know, and it was, you could tell he was struggling to get the words out. He could not breathe. And they killed him. The coroner report declares it a homicide. And these are the things that we should be talking about. Not because someone's bent out of shape and, I can't believe he went that far and his wife stole this and his wife works at Walmart. I mean, the one that works at Walmart, I consider that an innocent party. And if you do something to harm that is against the greater good, like you steal, embezzle money from a company that's worked hard to get to where it's at, you should really not be so bent out of shape when someone finds out. You really shouldn't. That's just the way I look at it, though. I can see the numbers going up in the chat room. I'm not looking. But when we talk about Eric Garner, and why that's important, why is that important to you and me? Because I believe that the police have this form of elitism that they feel entitled to harm a person because they believe they're in the right, or God forbid they might be in danger from a man who has his hands up and is stepping backwards. And that's exactly what happened in Eric Garner's case. Now, Eric Garner was a tall man and well over 300 pounds. He was an impressive person just to see him. The girth, the tallness of him. But there was no aggressiveness to his voice. Not in my opinion. He was stating his facts. Just leave me alone. He had no cigarettes on him. This officer who had what I would call little man disease. A little man in a bar, in a place, or maybe on the street, will see a much larger man. And he's going to go for that much larger man, like the largest guy in the bar, or the club, or whatever, street. And this little punk Italian police officer, I won't even say his name because, he doesn't deserve to have his name heard. Walks up to this man and is harassing him. He says, "Look, officer, I have nothing. I don't have anything." And they were referring to cigarettes. And there was no cigarettes found on his person or nearby him, like maybe he just threw them on the ground. And then the guy could have got him for littering on top of that, right? And he had some priors. And the priors were selling those loosies. I think they call them loosies for some reason. Maybe that's a New York term. I don't know. But I do have the video. And it's a little bit hard to listen to. So if you're under 18, I need you to get out of my room right now. It's late. You shouldn't be up. You should be sleeping if you're a child. And God help you if you have a parent that lets you stay up like this. So, we have the Eric Garner video. This one's about 3 minutes, and then there's one after it happened. So let's take a listen.
You play a hard way for what? Every time you see me, you want to mess with me. I'm tired of it. It stops today.
This guy right here is forcibly trying to lock somebody up for breaking up a fight.
Everybody standing here, they told you I didn't do nothing. I did not sell nothing. Because every time you see me, you want to harass me, you want to stop me, you want to sell a cigarette. I'm minding my business, officer. I'm minding my business. Please just leave me alone. I told you the last time, please just leave me alone. Please, don't touch me. Don't touch me, please.
Hold on.
Listen, don't touch me, please. Do not touch me.
Little man has jumped onto Eric and has him in an illegal chokehold at this point.
Put your hand behind your back. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe. I can't breathe.
Eric Garner is about to die.
I can't breathe.
Once again, police beating up on people I live right here.
Back up, then get on that steps.
Okay.
Back up.
All he did was break up a fight. And this what happens for breaking up a fight. This shit is crazy.
Everybody back up, back up.
Something's wrong with him.
He can't breathe. Look, now, man, they gave this man a seizure.
Yo, move out the way. Yo.
It's my brother. We live
You know
here.
what? Back up this way. Everybody now back up. It's now going to become a crisis. Back it up. Back it up.
I'm going to my house.
No. This way. Let's go.
Can't go in my
Either
house?
the house or that way.
All right, I go that way.
Pick a choice.
I'm getting my
Let's
bike.
go. You had your chance to get your bike, sir. Staying over there right now. We haven't seen it.
The police were standing around and did nothing to help this man, and he died right on the sidewalk.
The video shows Eric Garner talking to officers, pleading his case. Police say the 43-year-old Staten Island man was selling untaxed cigarettes. Just 2 months ago, Garner was arrested for a similar crime. But this time, he was adamant, non-compliant but not aggressive, demanding he be left alone. The video goes on to show officers wrestling Garner to the ground, the officer on his back, placing one arm around Garner's neck to subdue him. Police Commissioner Bratton called this maneuver a chokehold. Garner, who weighs more than 300 pounds and stands well over 6 feet tall, repeatedly tells police he could not breathe.
After he was telling him, I can't breathe, he just went limp.
This woman, who identified herself as Garner's first cousin, said her loved one was not an aggressive person.
He wasn't a violent person. He was not at all.
Police say Garner went into cardiac arrest as he was being placed into custody. Less than 24 hours after his death, the area near Victory Boulevard and Bay Street became a rallying point for many in the community as they demanded justice. Meanwhile, in Manhattan,
like so many New Yorkers, I was very troubled by the video I reviewed earlier today.
Mayor de Blasio and Commissioner Bratton stood side by side, vowing a thorough investigation will be done.
It is too early to jump to any conclusions about this case. We must wait for all the facts and details of the incident to emerge. But I assure all New Yorkers there will be a full and thorough investigation.
About 20 to 30
Yeah, it's almost over.
here at Garner's makeshift memorial all day. Now, while tension
It should be cut off by now.
So far, it's been peaceful. In Tompkinsville, I'm Mark Santia.
All right, that was a local New York station reporting that. You know, but these are things that should be talked about. This is real. This is something that affects us all. And I watched the video, and it's obvious that he wasn't stepping to the officer. He actually put his hands up, like at shoulder. Like if you just have your hands at your sides, and you just raise your hands up from the elbow up, he steps back, and the officer attacked. They took him down like if you're at a rodeo, you're roping, you take a steer down or whatever the case may be. They took him down kind of like that. Kind of reminded me of a rodeo, very much like a rodeo. It's just crazy. And this is the case they should have put forth instead of focusing on Ferguson, in my opinion. You know, there are artists that believe not like Martin Luther King, a peaceful protest, Gandhi. You know, Gandhi was favored. He would say things, an eye for an eye makes the whole world blind. And is this not true? And it's true on Spreaker also. Just because the other guy's doing doesn't mean that you have to lower your standards to meet theirs. You do not have to go that low. You can just ignore them. They have a very small following, a very small crowd. Let them be miserable. But when it comes to real life, and cases like Eric Garner, we cannot just stand by and be silent. You know, because I'm going to use Spreaker as an example. I had warned some people, don't do that. They're going to come after you. And they went after them because they wouldn't listen. Oh, it's not going to happen to me. Like I'm the dumbass. I mean, come on. But it's like that in real life. When somebody warns you that this is not a good situation, you go and do it anyway. I mean, just But Eric Garner was a complete innocent man. He may have made some mistake. Who has not made a mistake? Eric Garner was an innocent man in this. He was asking them just to leave him alone, that he wasn't doing anything. I'm not doing anything, man. I'm not doing anything. That's what he said. You heard him talk. You heard him talk. And they took him down like a fatted calf. Wow. I mean, I really think there's a problem coast to coast with police brutality. I truly believe that there is a problem with police brutality, a form of elitism with police, of thinking that they know more, they have more power than certain subsets of our culture. There has to come a time when you recognize that minority, that you find your own humanity. And I think that time is now. With the different, I don't know if you want to call them control groups or subsets, they're becoming more equal. There seems to be tension in the air, this electric tension that just crackles with violence and death and bleeding and men on the ground. Now, it's just not just African Americans. We're talking Latinos, Native Americans from the get-go have been targeted. They've been targeted by the police, by the medical community. You know, I could go on about the CDC whistleblower and what that means. And that they said nothing when they found out that a subset or a susceptibility group, as the NIH former director had said, you know, the African American control group, was being harmed by a vaccine, and they did nothing. Absolutely nothing. No alert. There's no recall for them on a vaccine. And they should have looked at this subset, this African American boy subset. Medically targeted through brutality from the police. I would be scared if I had an African American son. I would be so afraid for him. You know, I would consider maybe going to Canada. I would consider it. Going somewhere else. Anywhere but here. You know, Ferguson, Staten Island. I mean, it's all over. I don't know if California is any better, but I doubt they are. Oh, wait. There was OJ. There was... I don't know. I do not live in California. So I have another video, and it's called After the Video. It's about Eric Garner and how they're talking about him in third person with him laying on the ground. He's dead, you all. And he has his arms behind his hands, his back, and they're in a zip tie. And he's dead. I mean, if you think someone needs medical attention, you take the zip tie off. Them just even putting, he was a big man, them putting his hands behind his back. Wow. So the grand jury decision is forthcoming either tomorrow or Tuesday. New York City might erupt into a Ferguson. It might. I hope not. It's going to be bad. I'm sure they have a lot more policemen than what was at Ferguson. I mean, there's no doubt. I hope they're better trained, but then again, a policeman murdered Eric Garner. The coroner himself declared it a homicide. And we're not talking about a fake coroner. I don't know if you've kept up with Ferguson, but the coroner that did the autopsy of Mike Brown was not a coroner. He does not have a medical degree. I mean, come on. I mean, just the ineptitude of that. I can't even call it a justice system. You know, and whether Mike Brown was right or wrong, it's a horrible justice system in Ferguson. And I don't see anyone of color getting a free, equal trial there. I mean, if you're of color, you're going to have to pay out the wazoo just to get out safe. You know, innocent. If you're innocent.